Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening. How you doing today, everyone? How are we? Hope everybody is quite well. I am, for one, very happy that the window is finished to a degree. It makes it a little bit easier. It gets very exhausting dealing with it after a while, And then I think there's another thing that happens after the window. I think you just settle in. The speculation is all gone. The team is very settled. Everybody's ready to go and play and do all of that. I'm not going to make videos every single day talking about January and talking about future transfers and things. I just think there's a decent time to just simply talk about it right at the end of the window, right the next day, and say, what did we get done? What did we not get done? Where are we going? And so we'll talk about a little bit of that. I also want to talk about how United are probably better than they're getting credit for, things like that. There still could be outs, for what it's worth, is the other thing to talk about. There's Onana. There's quite a few players that could potentially leave. Onana, by India, not really sure. On that front, obviously, Tyrell Malacia, we know, would be going if possible as well. So there's a few things. I want to talk about Kobbie Mainoo's situation as well. I want to talk about that, talk about January. Do make sure you watch the video this morning. I'm going to keep this to a brief live today. I know sometimes I say that and then I go off on a tangent for like an hour, but I'm not going to do that today, I promise. I'm going to try to keep it to like 25, 30, to like maybe 30, 40 minutes because I've got other stuff to do and I just don't want to get into too much, but or go too far off track. But there's things I want to talk about. So I'll let everybody get in here. Then I want to talk about it. We'll talk about the keeper because obviously that was the thing that happened in the last minutes essentially of the window and all of that as well. How the community diminishes after the transfer market is over. It's sad. It is a little bit to me. You know what I mean? It is a little bit sad to me that, I mean, if it's not about transfers, you get about half the amount of general, people showing up. You get about half the audience. You get about half the talk. You get about half of everything. But it is what it is. I think once we're good, there'll be more. I think it'll be more exciting once we're actually good. Or I don't know. Sometimes it feels like people only want to come around when we're bad. And I wish that wasn't the case either. But I do appreciate everybody who's here because I do stuff all year and there's always lots of things to discover. That's the fun part. I mean, if you guys have been following me for a long time, if you guys have been following me through before this last summer, for those of you who are not new, which we did have a big growth this year. I think we went from like 22,000 to 32,000 between May or April and August in terms of subscribers, which is really big. I expect the majority of the growth to happen during the transfer window. But if you've been following me from before that, then you'll know we kind of talked about a lot of the stuff that happened in summer. We've been leading up for months, for weeks, for everything. And there's so much more that goes on that's interesting to note about the club outside of the transfer window. That's what surprises me. I will also obviously work on, one of the things I definitely want to work on outside of the transfer window is more guests, things like that, people that, people that also coming in and having a conversation and all of that as well. So I also will say that, yes, the Discord, the Patreon, all of that is a great place to hang out outside of the window. No doubt about that. So, yeah, let me think of my first poll here. You guys can help me out quite a lot. My first post-window poll here to get you to like, yes, no, Onana deserves a new deal. There we go. Let's do that because that's where we'll start with today's video. We will start. Thank you, Devagi. I don't think I'm getting your name exactly right. It's going to be hard for me to pronounce, but thank you. Yes, first of all, we'll start with the goalkeeper conversation. Obviously, Lamans. Wow, that's a lot easier than the way we've been saying it, hasn't it? Lamans. Feels good, man. So it was very great. It was great to see the video from Senna Lamans, giving us the proper pronunciation of his name, so that we can actually talk about him sensibly. We've had Lamans, Lamans. We've gone through all the different things, but it's just Lamans. That's easy. It's just Lamans. It's just Lamans. Obviously, yes, he's now signed. They're making a big deal about him as the final signing of the window. That's all good. What I want to say about this is I understand right now. I understand something, all right? I understand that there's a lot of stories, a lot of things like that about, there's a lot of stories, all sorts of things that are like, well, he's going to, Bayindir's going to be the number one, or Onana's going to be the number one. The truth of the matter is, guys, listen, we don't have a number one. It's an open story. That is the truth. It is an open competition over who should be the number one goalkeeper. Fact. I'm telling you that for certain. It is the only reason they ended up buying him at the end of the day, is because they needed a keeper who plays. Now, that doesn't, there's a world where he doesn't start against City, where maybe he felt he's just not ready. It's too much pressure. It is an open competition for that keeper thing. It is. We will do a fan view where we'll have everybody call in, give their thoughts on the window and all that. Not today, but probably tomorrow or Thursday I will do that. But, City might be a game too soon, and all of that, but we'll see. We will see. He's got to train. One of the things that we miss because of the international break and what happens at what happens during this 2 weeks is, unfortunately, you don't get a ton of training time with the squad. However, it's not like goalkeepers need that much, especially in an Amorim system. Remember that an Amorim system is based around what? An Amorim system is based around the goalkeeper being pretty much just strong in the box. That's all he is asking for. His goalkeeper is to be strong in the box. I think that's something he can get up to speed with during the international break. I have my doubts that Ruben Amorim is going to be particularly relaxed during this international break, given his perspective. Maybe he does need a couple of days vacation. I swear to God, man. I don't want to get into this topic today, so I won't, but I'm just going to say it. Being the United manager really is like being the president. Like when you look at how much they age and how stressed they get and all of that over the course of the years and everything, it's wild.
Post summer transfer market support.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you always, and thank you for all the support during the window. It means a lot to me. Okay, it really does. But the keeper. The keeper situation is open. It's very, very, very open. Senna Lamans, I'm sure he did not speak to Ruben yet because, of course, a lot of the videos were set up yesterday on deadline day, and everybody's flying out for their international breaks. If Ruben was going to take a day off or a couple days off, it would have been there. He there getting busy, doing the medicals, doing all the things. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about any of that. Was Wilcox pictured in the photos with him signing his contract? Because I don't even think Wilcox was pictured in the photos with him. And Wilcox, I think, has been pictured with everybody as well. So it's just a busy time. End of the window, all of that. Everybody's very, very busy. So I'm not concerned about that. They've got time to work together on this. I really like him. What I get so far from Lamans is... He seems to be very. He was there. Okay, good. All right. Well, Wilcox was there. That's good. That's important. What I get from him is that he's very calm. Like he comes across just very level. I don't know what the word to use would be for it, but it's kind of what I want from my keeper is a guy who is very leveled out. I don't want somebody who's too crazy. I don't want someone who's too funny. I don't want someone who's too whatever. He seems very calm, very, very, very calm. Rob United, I found your page during the window after channels were speaking about it. Now my number one views. Thank you, Rob. Money Mouse, thank you for the gifted memberships as well. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for supporting the community and everything as well. It means an awful lot. And yeah, look, I don't think it's necessarily even introverted, because I've seen him on the pitch and he's very demanding. He's very loud when it matters. He's very commanding of his box. He speaks, but I think he has a good, solid demeanor about him. Heard Elliot Anderson has been added to our center mids list for next summer. Any truth in that? I would certainly, undoubtedly, inexplicably, I would definitely keep an eye on Elliot Anderson for sure. He's going to be on the radar of quite a few clubs. Next summer, we can kind of get to that, but next summer, obviously, between January and summer, it's going to be...
in lieu of the morning video, must watch together with Laurie Whitwell's article at The Athletic.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that, Peter. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, his was a good piece as well, certainly. But Anderson's going to get a lot of interest. And there's going to be a number of clubs looking for midfielders next summer, which was part of the idea of maybe getting a jump on it from United. But, there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in Elliot Anderson. There's no doubt about that. Very, very good player. And there's, I think City are probably going to be right in there in the race for him too, for what it's worth. But we will see.
Boring. We want a boring keeper. No spotlight/drama.
Boring. We want a boring keeper. No spotlight on it. The Athletic did a ranking of all the signings, like the best versus the worst. I mean, I don't want to go through their entire paid article on my video. Isn't that
James,
sort of
we'll
not
be
right?
here all year. One big underrated takeaway from the window is structure led the decisions, not the manager. Amorim probably wanted Daibu, but structure trusted the scouts. I feel this is a positive stuck overall.
Sure. Yes, and I'll talk about that with the
Do you
striker
think City
too in a
regret
minute.
letting Wilcox go?
No, I mean, they've got a good structure. They've got a good team in place at City. I don't think they pretty much regret much. 76 for Cunha. See, I haven't looked at that. I find it really hard to listen to other people's opinions. Do you know that? I'm not going to lie. I don't know what it is.
Respect
I
for
find it
volume plus
really,
quality
really
of
hard
content over summer.
to listen to other people's opinions. Respect for volume plus quality of content. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I do. I find it really hard to listen to other people's opinions. Like, how is Lindelof at 85? Lahman's at 80. Have they seen our keepers? Cunha at 76. Why is Šeško better than Cunha? Why is Šeško a higher... Why is... No, Brian Mbeumo at 34? Well, there's your reaction. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. Liam Delap rated as a better signing than Mbeumo and Cunha. Liam Delap rated as a better signing. Tyler Dibling rated as a better signing. Douglas Luiz rated as a better signing than Brian Mbeumo. Excuse me.
Is Wilcox better than Vienna and Chelsea's SDs?
I have no idea, but Wilcox is certainly someone trusted quite highly. How? How is Liam Delap rated higher than Mbeumo and Cunha? Like, this is silly. This is silly. Come on. This is silly. You value for money, but value for money is a terrible way to measure transfers, because then you're always going to be prioritizing cheap, except let me guess what's right at the top. Oh yeah, of course. There's Isak at number 5. Why is that one so much better value for money? Isak's a great player, don't get me wrong, but like, why is Ekitike at number 6? Why is Ekitike at number 6? I can't help it. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible list. This is some of the worst opinions I've ever seen. Why is Ekitike at number 6? And Mbeumo and Cunha are better players than him. They're more productive. They've had a bigger record. Why is he at number 6? But Šeško is lower? Šeško's got more proof in the Bundesliga as well. What is that? And Mbeumo is probably in the top 4, top 3. Cherky at 3. Give me a break. What's he done so far? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Esteval, I understand. I could agree with Esteval. They got a star in Esteval to Chelsea. That's a good deal. Esteval looks incredible. João Paulinho on loan as number 1 is insane to me, too. I mean, that's kind of a joke. Jack Grealish, that's nice. Gyökeres at 8. Pff, imagine if we signed Gyökeres. Kyle Walker at 12? Kyle Walker at 12. Kyle Walker at 12. That's all you got to know. That's all you got to know. That's all you got to know. Kyle Walker at 12, to know that whoever wrote this article is clueless. I'm sorry to say. That is crazy. Kyle Walker at 12. Kyle Walker is terrible. Terrible. He is a finished player. Kyle Walker is finished. He should be 165th on this list, just in front of Jadon Sancho at 166th. Kyle Walker at 12. Seriously. Kyle Walker? Anyway, we're done. We're not going to look at it. Kyle Walker hasn't been awful the other day. Kyle Walker's been finished for 2 years. Kyle Walker is nothing. He's terrible. He's terrible right now. You know, that's like it's like, geez, yeah, whoever wrote this, whoever contributed, put this together. Let's see, Tim Spears, you should be ashamed of yourself. What a terrible opinion piece. Terrible. There's opinion pieces and there's terrible opinion pieces. Anyway, you burned me 7 minutes of time. I couldn't help it. Any news on Malacia? No, but we're still looking at a loan for him. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of
journals just can't be objective about us.
Yeah, for sure. No, Jason, he's not. At least as of now. I mean, yeah. Yeah, Kyle Walker's been finished since he whipped it out in a bar on camera.
Walker has great VAR stats.
Bar stats. Move along. Let's move on. Let's go back to keepers. Yes, so I've been thinking about this whole situation, okay? And one thing, obviously, I want to mention is, of course, that we were very close to getting Emi Martinez in. This was a deal that almost happened. And like someone commented in one of the donations, this manager-led versus recruitment and club-led signings, it happened in a few occasions, which is important to note, you know. Obviously, there's like the Ollie Watkins versus getting a younger striker. There's the Emi Martinez, Donnarumma versus getting a younger goalkeeper. And the important thing to note here is that Ruben Amorim is okay with this. This is what it looks like when everybody's in coordination. It should be, I want to make very, very clear, he is in straight agreement on these things. So there's going to be preferences, but what's important is that they're not just doing it based on a preference, on manager wants this, we do that. In years past, we probably would have said, oh, Ollie Watkins, he wants an experienced striker. We go up, end up paying $60 million for Ollie Watkins. He wants Emi Martinez. We go up. We're going to pay that $40 million for Emi Martinez. It is a group effort. And obviously, Ruben Amorim pushed, as I said in my video and as I said at the start of summer, he did push for a bit more impact, a bit more experience than what originally was on the table in terms of the plans, because his assessment of the team was, holy shit, you know, this isn't good enough. Like, these guys are going to struggle. These guys are going to have a very, very hard time. We can't just drop young players in here or they will flounder. They will have a hard time. So, you know, he pushed for that. But he's had that view, and that's been his assessment that he's been delivered. But we've been working on it. Yesterday, we had a deal agreed with Aston Villa. I mean, essentially, this is different. We had a deal agreed with Aston Villa. We had this bid in for Lommens at Antwerp at the same time. And we said, hey, let's see if we can get this deal done. And then, you know, it was reliant on Jadon Sancho accepting the move to go over there, you know, and obviously he turned that down, and we said, all right, fine, let's push ahead with Lommens. We pushed ahead overnight, made a deal, all of that. So yeah, definitely watch this morning video because I covered everything in a lot of detail, and I think it's a great video, if I do say so myself, not to be too braggadocious, but I think it is. So now, but I want to make very, very clear that point. All right, if you take that point in terms of who should be starting at keeper, well, remember, Ruben Amorim wanted someone to start right away. So I have a strong feeling he is going to be pushing for Lammens to start. I mean, it's his choice, right? He is the one who's going to choose who starts, correct? So if he was pushing for a keeper to come in and start, we got a keeper. He's going to be pushing he's going to want Lammens to start. So I assume that he will. Very, very quickly. I'm not worried about that. Rio spoke with Thibaut on the stream yesterday and said Lammens suits our style of play perfectly. I think he does. He's a box goalkeeper. He's a keeper who, is going to sit in his area. He's not a sweeper, and he's going to deal with high balls, deal with saves, and do what he can. So he's the right type of guy. He's the type of keeper Amorim wants, and he fits the long-term structure. Now, here's where I think things change, because I have never gotten quite a specific answer in terms of why the goalkeeper situation was pushed back in the first place and why it sort of came back on into the table. And what happened, it's crazy when you look at what I'd heard and what was in that article as well, that Onana, there was some meeting way back before him. He wanted to be first choice keeper. He was like assured of being first choice keeper. I thought whoever said that misjudged it. But then what happened? He came back. No, Lammens is not called up for the Belgian team. He will be there pretty much the whole break. He should. He came back, and he was out of shape, injured right away, and apparently, as we see from Laurie Whitwell in that piece, was asking for a bigger contract because we didn't get Champions League. Are you joking? I said before during that time that that Ruben Amorim was unimpressed when Onana came back with him. But to also demand a new contract on top of that because we didn't get into Champions League is crazy, especially considering you had a chance at Champions League. You just had to put in one fucking save against Tottenham, and you couldn't manage that in the Europa final, and you let in an extremely soft goal. Give me a break, man. That there's something that I don't understand with this, and I'm quite surprised by it. With Onana, I don't want to be mean. He's a funny guy. I met him, and he's nice, and he's personable, and he's very funny. But I'm wondering, what is he thinking? Because that is surprising, and I don't want to go in on too much, but those are, is that bad advisors? What is giving you the idea that this was okay? It's confusing to me. So it is what it is. Anyway, I don't want to be too harsh. I don't want to attack the player too much or anything like that. I really don't. But it's just a serious surprise. Serious surprise. That he did that, and obviously it was somebody who they were not impressed. So I think that obviously spurred some of the situation about it, about moving for a keeper. They were certainly not impressed with him. So that was it. Almost read that out, Rob. So yeah, that was the keeper side of it. The other thing we did try to do on the final day was a loan move for Conor Gallagher. When that rumor first came up, I said I actually quite liked the idea. I did check it out, and that's why I kept kind of saying, maybe we'll try to get Conor Gallagher. Maybe that's the one. Maybe that's what we're trying to do here. I still think that would have been a nice deal, but obviously it was not to be. It is an interesting one to try on a final day. You're going to get a lot of mixed opinions. Conor Gallagher is one of those players that people are going to say he's terrible, and people are going to say he's very good. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or right either way. But, I think he's kind of like, I see him very much like Mason Mount in the midfield. Very energetic, very intelligent player, really liked by a lot of managers. Great engine on him. He's a bit more athletic than Mason Mount. You'll get the impression a lot of times that the player's no good, but I think when you see them in the right environment, you'll actually realize he's quite a good player. But it is what it is. Again, he's going to be one who you get different opinions on. I don't think Gallagher's certainly good enough to be, like your long-term star signing, title-winning type of midfielder. Don't get me wrong. I do like him though. But I have a type in the midfield that I like. I would have taken Fred back in a heartbeat for the type, especially the way that we play. There's nothing wrong with my midfield idea. I've been a fan of Adam Wharton for ages and ages. I know what a quality midfielder looks like. It's just I don't do that thing where I kick down the guys who aren't as aesthetic. I don't kick down the energetic workhorse kind of bully destroyer type midfielders like others. I like them. I think they have a place. I think that they get way too much flack and not enough credit because I think they're valuable types of players, the Paulinhas and Freds and these types of guys. I think those have a lot of value in football. And I think they get underrated far too often, those physical midfielders. And you can build a good team with them, but they're not usually as athletically pleasing anyway. But that was that. Yeah, he does fit in Amram's system. He does. Now, the question becomes, was this concern over what would happen with Kobbie Mainoo? And that's what I want to talk about next, okay, is Kobbie Mainoo's situation here. Because if you look at it, again, that was an 8, not a 6, right? Not their main target, but the concern was this potentially something we inquired about because of Kobbie Mainoo essentially talking about leaving, demanding to go, things like that. That is the question. We don't know at this point in time. So it could have been part of that. Kobbie Mainoo, the next major thing to talk about here, they want to get Kobbie Mainoo's situation nailed down. I think what they're frustrated with is that if there's patience over the course of the season, they 100% expect Kobbie Mainoo to be playing a lot by the end of the season and have a nailed-on place. That was always the plan, okay, with Kobbie Mainoo, and I think there's some frustration at the impatience in the early part of the season that, just a couple of games resulted in that kind of a reaction because they're like, no, listen, you're going to stay. We've got plans. We need you. We want you. And the whole plan is over the course of the season, you're going to play a lot of football. Obviously, Diddy came on at halftime. I'm sure he'll start some games. We saw the Bruno Mainoo partnership for a bit of time in there that I actually think did well, especially in games where we're attacking, trying to get goals, trying to do all of that. So those are all good things, I think, that they want to do with him, that they want to keep him, and they want to make him a part of the team. It's my understanding that certainly they're going to push for that. They're going to push for him to commit his future to to Manchester United. They want him to agree a new contract. They see it as a two-way street. It's like, they see it as a two-way street. If you're committed, if you want to be here for the long haul, if you want to, really knuckle down and take part, then, it's easier to give you minutes. It's easier to build you into the team rather than worry you want to leave at the first ask of saying, that maybe there are things for you to work on. I mean, there are things for Kobbie Mainoo to work on. I thought he was good against Burnley. Not great. Not like nailed on every single second, every single day starter or anything like that. He's not at that level yet, in my opinion. I could be wrong. You could disagree with me. The thing is that if you're playing for a smaller team, if Kobbie Mainoo's at Brighton, he starts every week because that's what Brighton is for. But when you're a good, talented young player and you're coming into a big team, you're just not necessarily going to start every single week. There's a lot of teams he wouldn't start. And so I think that it's okay to look at it like, yeah, he can stay here and develop. He can stay here and continue, and he can stay here and grow. And I think that, United want to make sure that they get this all put together. That he commits, that they commit, that everybody commits, and that we kind of move forward from there, and that he fits within the team and can grow into it. So that's a priority, but it is a two-way street. They want to make sure he commits as well to United, and they want to, show him over the course of the season that he will play a lot of football as well, and want to see that he can improve upon certain things too. They want to motivate him. They also don't want to have, Garnacho syndrome go on, where it's too much too soon and a player thinks they're all that and they've got nothing to work on and nothing to improve, and, and then they look to agree. So we'll see there. I think in the long term it'll be fine. But this is certainly a priority for them, and I think they're glad with the window shut that they can just say, "Look, this is it. You're here. You want to commit this season, work hard, fight hard, play hard with us, and let's get you to the levels that you can be at." And that's kind of the goal with Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, in addition to that, the biggest thing that United are going to be looking forward to in the future is the midfield and doing more in the midfield. And there is the intent and ability to do business in January. Watch the video this morning. I'm not going to explain all the finances now, but suffice it to say, United are well ahead on the financials from where they started the window, and they'll be able to do quite a lot moving forward. They'll be able to do quite a lot moving forward in the window. They will be able to do quite a bit in January or in summer, but they will attempt to do something in January. That's already what I was told last week that I shared, that I continue to believe they will be willing to do something in January. So they'll probably try, and we'll see where we're at. Obviously, some of it depends. Where are we? Where are we in January? Do we have the ability? Who's impressing? Where are some of our players at? Are any of our long-term targets there that we can bring in that will help us and that it's worth spending on in January? And, there's two fronts. Getting ahead of competition is one possible reason to do it in January, and the other is to help you mid-season get where you need to be. By the end of next summer, the expectation certainly is that you could get two midfielders. I don't think they'll ever pay $120 million for Baleba, because I don't think he's worth $120 million. And I think that, as I said before, they do have an upper limit on him, which is below $120 million for sure. I don't think they believe he's 100% at that kind of level as of yet. Just because Caicedo went for that to Chelsea, who paid enormous fees for everybody, doesn't necessarily mean that everybody should be paying those types of money for potential midfielders, for potential players and all of that. But they certainly have a serious interest in Baleba. They certainly have a serious interest in others as well. Out of subject, but is it true Glasner's eyeing the Man United job? I haven't actually heard there's anything in the Glasner stuff at this point in time. Leverkusen are definitely one interested, I think. But yeah, so there's interest in the potential to do business in the midfield over the course of January, if you can get the right long-term target. So that would be kind of the goal. And the ability to do so financially should be there. And obviously next summer with the World Cup is going to be complicated. So we shall see. I believe that if we're able to see where we're going and they view that a signing in that window, that we can get somebody and it'll have a severe impact.
I was hoping United would bring in another Heaven/Showbeat move, but didn't. Any thoughts as to why? There were briefs of that happening again.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't get some young players, but we did try on a few very top talents, but weren't able to get a few over the line. There's a couple of players that we tried for. I can't remember the names off the top of the head because I don't follow the youth names that closely, but we tried to sign someone, maybe it was from Blackburn, and a few others, but we just couldn't get them through. I imagine we will get more in the future. But regardless, I think by end of next summer, 2 midfielders in is certainly the plan. And then obviously it depends what happens with Kobbie, depends what happens with Ugarte, depends what happens with these players, if we will do more than that as well. So that's on the midfield. Certainly on the center backs, they want one, but we actually have a lot of center backs. Mazraoui, Yoro, Delict, Maguire, Lissandro, Heaven, and Shaw, 7 for 3 positions. Obviously, not all of them are up to the level that we would want, but there's going to be a lot of evaluation over the course of this year as to what
Trafford
they do.
better than Dorku. We could have signed him.
I don't know. I don't know anything about him, to be quite honest. I mean, maybe not. Maybe the hype is there. Maybe not. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Point being, they do have the ability to do business in the future. Yeah, there was someone from Leicester. There was someone from a few places that we tried. There was actually 2 who were really close at one point to joining and toured Carrington, and then didn't come through in the end. So yeah, the last thing I did want to talk about here, I wanted to go over a couple of stats. I'm going to make a video on United's position, but I wanted to show this on Le Mans. I found the graph I looked at again. Save percentage and prevented goals, again, among the best in the league. What I did want to show here is that, look, United, the feeling is that, with the way that they recruit on this big picture, long term. This is where we're going. These are all the steps towards getting there. They feel we're close. They feel that next summer they could finish the main things that they needed to. Now, work is never done in the market after that. There's always players who start performing, who underperform, this and that. But United have never actually had a completed team. And they feel we're closer to that to ever, and we can actually have a completed team, and then we can continue growing towards actually getting into that title. And that's one of the reasons they also don't want to change anything, on the manager front now and throw things into the lurch in terms of one of the main reasons they've hired Amorim is to have a manager to build with so that they can actually put a cohesive team out there, a cohesive squad that isn't going to be messed up by we got a new manager. He doesn't like this guy. He doesn't get on with this guy. Now we've got to start over. What happens? You bring a new manager in and he doesn't get along with Benjamin Šeško. Shit happens like that and it throws things off. And it does, and it can set you back, and those things happen. Even if you're not doing manager-led recruitment, you still have personalities. You still have those types of issues. It's easier to build the foundations with the same person because at least everybody you sign, they've vetted, they've spoken to, they've looked at, they're on board with, and you're not going to have any of those concerns that someone comes in and doesn't like. I mean, you can get the extremes like with Ten Hag where it's everybody he wants. So new manager comes in, doesn't want any of his players. They're all gone, bar like Lisandro Martinez, right? He gets rid of everybody at the end of it. It's not always that extreme, but it still does make you potentially cause setbacks when you change managers while you're trying to build a squad or rebuild a squad in general.
With Liverpool's resurgence and the recent house cleansing, what's our spending power like compared to theirs?
Good question. If we get Europe, I don't think anybody can outspend us next year, to be quite honest. I don't think anybody can outspend us next year. That's what I think. I understand Lohman said he didn't speak to Amorim yet. Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. Doesn't really matter to me. Regardless, certainly he approved it. That's for sure. And the other thing is when you talk about the numbers, this is really, really interesting. Looking at the stats here overall, trying to look at how United have done so far. Apologies for blinding you by switching it. But, this season, shots per game, United first. Possession, we're still doing well at becoming kind of a more controlling possession side, which is still important, I think, for successful teams to have decent possession in the modern game. You look at aerials, one, this can be good, this can be bad. It's hard to measure what that means, but certainly we're decent at things. So things like tackles, one, are not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's all contextual. This one is interesting because the best teams seem to be located down below, but then there's some bad teams in there too. Defensive stats, I would warn you, because there's a lot of things going around about, United have this much in terms of tackles, interceptions, all of that. You don't necessarily want to be leading all of these stats, okay? You can see there's very little, relevance between these stats and success. Chelsea are good, our higher interceptions. Leeds are terrible in our higher interceptions. Newcastle haven't won a game in our higher interceptions. You go to the bottom, Liverpool are top of the league and have the lowest. So they don't mean much. Those ones especially don't mean much. I do think shots per game matter on that front. United are third bottom. Now Newcastle are also first bottom too, but they can't score any goals. So we have a little bit of that same problem. Conceding less shots is always good, objectively. Shots per game again first. Shots on targets per game tied for second with these other two clubs. Dribbles per game, I still feel this is something we're bad at. A lot of good teams, Arsenal, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Tottenham, City, good players dribbling the ball. You look at us flying down all the way in 14th. We got to get more dribblers. We got to have the ability to beat teams more often. XG. This model has us slightly behind Chelsea for second, but look at the goals disparity. Crazy. We've scored 2 on 7 XG. Top of the table has the highest XG differential, meaning they score more than they should, while we have the lowest. We've got to turn this around at some point and start finishing our chances, and we'll be fine. That's one of those things. In terms of total shots, we're great. I saw people making a big deal about this expected goals per shots, like it's too low or something. It's fine. It's 9th. It's not bad. In fact, it's higher than Liverpool's, and Liverpool have scored the most goals. So to me, that's just one of those things. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to be all the way at the bottom. This is bad. To be way down here. Higher is certainly better, but there's also the alternative where you can see these guys haven't scored a lot of goals either, where you don't take enough shots and you only shoot when you are sure you can score, and it's like trying to walk it into the net, the old Arsenal thing. You don't want to do that either. We've got to find a good middle ground. But, I mean, we're 0.01 lower on XG per shots than Arsenal, but we've taken 20 more. It's just this. We just need to score more fucking goals, man. That's all there is to it. That's really it. And if you look at shots like in the penalty area, it's not like we're just taking long shots. We're second in long shots because we've taken a lot, but we're also first in penalty area shots, 8th in 6-yard box ones. So we're not like just taking pot shots. The other thing you can definitely see here is we have the 2 own goals, obviously. Those are technically from set pieces, which is a good sign. Good teams are usually good at set pieces and all of that. But, of course, then there's the against part where we've conceded multiple times on set pieces already. The other thing I want to highlight here is there we are with Bruno and Mbumo, kind of where we expect in terms of their chances created per 90. Mbumo really coming into the player we all know he is, which is a top creator. So there's a lot to be positive about. There's a hell of a lot to be positive about, okay? There is a hell of a lot to be positive about. I think that we're going to be really good in the long run. I think we're going to be okay. And I think as the season goes on, we're going to see that more and more, and we have to be patient. So I'm hoping, I know you guys will for the most part. I think a lot of the overly negative people, not all of them, and you're allowed to have your own opinion, but I think a lot of the overly negative people are usually gone once the window ends. We'll be here. I'm asking you as a community, I really think it's time to knuckle down as well, back the team and see what we can do, because I don't think it's nearly as bad as we kind of have all overreacted at different points in times. Plus, Grimsby cheated. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it seems, and obviously we have tough games after the break, but I'm going to be positive. I'm a positive person. I'm always positive through the season. I can't do the endless negativity. It doesn't work for me. I'd have no point doing it if these things made me unhappy, but there's a lot of things to be positive about. There's a lot of good signs to look at. So, let's be happy. Let's take a look at it. We've got our guy. Let's see where we are by the next international break, and let's back the team and the manager and see what we can do. Because I hope that we see the results from what we are seeing there. And I think if we had just finished our chances a little bit better, we'd very easily be sitting on 2 wins, 1 draw right now. Keeper errors, all of that, we could very easily be up the table. On that note, last thing in injuries, I don't have much by way of detail. I don't think it's serious for Cunha. For Mount, I don't think it's serious either from what I've heard, but I'm a little bit loath to say that about Mason Mount because sometimes the things that aren't serious, he ends up taking months coming back from. But I don't think it's necessarily serious for either. I kind of doubt we will see, Cunha at the, oh, there you go. Wow, what timing? What timing? I was just saying it's not serious, and there you go. Sully says, understand Cunha's injury isn't as serious as first feared after initial scans. Did some light upper body gym work today. Nothing major there. So there you go. There you go. These guys love me. These guys love tweeting things while I'm talking about those exact things. So there you go. I think Cunha will be fine. I think Cunha will be fine. There you have it. I don't think he'll be back for City, but I think he'll be fine. And he'll be back pretty soon. So there you have it. Good timing. It's always incredible, right? But big up to Sully for that update as well. So let's see what comes next. Okay, guys, I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching today. Definitely watch the earlier video. I really appreciate it. I really do. I really appreciate it. I thank you all so much for following through the window and appreciate your continued support here. There's always things to share. There's always things to talk about during the season, updates on injuries, things like that we can just well time, I definitely have a lot to share during the year. Don't worry about that. And we will keep going. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll probably talk about I'm going to do a video on the progress, probably at some point tomorrow or Thursday, do a fan view on the transfer window itself. Thank you all. Thank you to the faithful fans. Thank you to the strong CoRU 700 sitting in here at this time and the hundreds and thousands of people who do watch later on that can't always make the lives. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll get through this international break and get back to the games soon, I promise. Thank you all. Have a good one. Goodbye.